Yo, what's up, man? So today I'm going to be breaking down 10 crazy effects from the Walk music video by Molly Santana and Shy Cartier. There were a lot of really hard effects in this one, and I'm going to be going in depth for all of these. Just in this last week, I've done 6 full music video breakdowns. So make sure to stay tuned, man, because we're going absolutely crazy. Daily uploads on the channel, or as much as I possibly can, you know. I have hundreds of tutorials teaching you guys this stuff, and on my other channel, I teach you guys how to make music and the whole beat music production side. So we're doing the whole creative process, bro. So hey man, just stay tuned, man. So the first one I want to break down are these really smooth transitions right here. This is just a really nice way to chain together a bunch of cool transitions. So you can see it's zooming out, that's 1, then zooming out, that's 2, then there's like a wipe and flash, and then that's 3, and then transitions into the final clip right there. So it's really simple, but because they're chained together, it just creates a much better like variation. So, but let's say I want to transition between these clips. So let's start off with the zoom transition. You know what I'm saying? I like to move really fast. I like to edit on quarter quality instead of full quality. So if you need to slow it down, just rewind, rewatch it, or just pause. And I do that so you guys can absorb my workflow and adjust to my speed instead of me adjusting to your speed. So I'll just set keyframes for position and scale right here. Then later in the clip, let's just zoom out a little bit like that. Let's highlight these keyframes and do F9 to easy ease. Let's go to our graph editor right here. Let's kind of push everything all the way over to the right using these little yellow handlebars. And to get rid of the black spacing around, I'm going to add on the motion tile effect, which is stock. Then let's set everything to 400 for the outputs. And then let's set that to mirror edges like that. And then just make sure to put the motion tile above the transform effect like that. And then I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more like that. Then on this next clip, I'm going to repeat that process. So I'll just kind of zoom in a little bit and then go back over. I'll set my keyframes back to normal and then just repeat that process. And you can do this on the same adjustment layer, but I just like doing it this way. And instead, we're going to push everything over to the left instead of the right because we're coming from over on this side. And then we're going to get that smooth transition right there. You can also just move these over so we can make it a little bit smoother like that, you know. You can also add in like a little flash in there. So that's the first part of this transition right here. Then you can see it kind of zooms back out again, and then there's like this wipe put behind her, and then she just kind of flashes in like that. So if you guys want to create this little flash effect, I'm going to come up here to my object matte tool, and this is how we're going to rotoscope it out. So once you have that selected, just double click on this layer. It's going to open up your other layer, and inside of this window we can just select him right there. Make sure we get that little bit right there, and then we can just click freeze. But I only need 1 frame, so I'm just going to delete the rest over there like that. All I'm gonna do, bro, is do Control-Shift-C to pre-comp the layer. Then I can just right click, go to time and click freeze frame. So it's now just gonna be stuck on this one singular frame. You just add on the exposure effect. I can crank this all the way up, or I can add on the tri-tone effect and then set everything just to white. So it's just kind of like flashing in like that, or you can leave it like this. So now for the last 2 parts of this transition, it's sort of going in from this clip, wiping over to this clip, and then there's like this flash coming on. So pretty similar. We're basically going to do the same thing where if we have all of our keyframes right here, I can set them right here, and then later in the clip, I can just kind of push everything over to the left and then repeat that same exact process where you're just going into your speed graph and then pushing everything over to the left. And then we'll do the same on this second clip, except we'll do it in the reverse order. So set the keyframes to normal over here, and then since we're going to the right, this one will come from the left. I'll just push it over here like that, and then I can do the same thing, F9 to easy ease, and let's just push everything over like that. So we're getting that smooth transition in there. Just make sure you click toggle switches and modes and then turn on motion blur for everything, just so we get that extra little sauce in there, you know. So we're getting something like that right there, which is decent. Then to get the flash effect, there's other really good flash effects in here, like this one for example. These 3 flash effects are really hard, so I'm going to show you exactly how to make that using a quick and easy preset. But just go in here to, all I got to do is just click on my layer, then click on the preset, and automatically we have this really easy transition in there. Or to get exactly what they had in the video, for just 1 frame, they added on lumetri color and the add grain effect, and then they just set the add grain to final output. You can bring the saturation all the way down and then just crank up the contrast, just make this look like a little bit more grunge. You can crank up the grain in there as well, and then you just have that last for one frame. You could also add on the exposure effect and just crank this up like that, you know what I'm saying? So that's how you can create this really sick like sequence of transitions. Let's move on to the next one, man. So next we had these sick head tracking effects right here. So this is pretty easy to do as well. So to do this in After Effects, it's pretty easy. So all I have to do is open up my tracker tab. So if you don't see it over here on the right, go to Window, go to Workspace, and then just click on Motion Tracking right here. Or if you're in an older version of After Effects, it'll just say like tracking or something like that. And go to your first frame right here. Let's just click on the Stabilize Motion instead of Track Camera. And it's going to bring up this little track point right here. Just make it a little bit bigger for both of these boxes like that. And then let's just go ahead and place this on his nose. Let's do like this center right there. Like that is perfect. And then just make sure you go in here to options and then turn it from adapt feature to stop tracking. This is really important. And then click OK. Then you just want to click on this little play button, and just like that. It's going to start tracking throughout. So now you just want to click on apply right here, and then make sure for apply dimensions, you set it to X and Y so that it's tracking in the X and the Y axis, and then just click OK. Now, as you can see, it's actually tracked to his head. Obviously this is like a pretty short clip, but you can see it is tracked pretty accurately to his head. You can also just zoom in. Like if you just zoom in like this, you can see it's still tracked and you don't have to worry about the black bars around there. But if it is smaller, head on the motion tile effect, and then again just increase the outputs, so these two right here, and then just click mirror edges. And then now, as you can see, it's still tracked to his head, and this can actually create a cool effect if you like bring the scale down quite a bit. You can create some cool shit like that. But yeah, hey bro, that's sauce right there, man. Sheesh. And then if you wanted to, you could just like go frame by frame and track it yourself if it's like a super short clip. But honestly, I feel like the tracker method is super decent. So this is the next effect I want to go over, are these cool rotoscoping effects. And this is just a cool effect if you ever want like inspiration or ideas. I feel like this is great stuff to look at, and you can just sort of create your own variations. I really like how it's like popping up on the screen and then going off of the screen one at a time. I appreciate the, time and the attention to detail that they put into that. And obviously earlier in the video, I went over, how to rotoscope, and up on the screen, I'll put some cool effects that I made recently using the Music Video Essentials pack. It's the only music video pack I use for my music videos. You don't need to buy any other packs or anything like that. But there's 600 assets in this pack. It has all of my essential presets in here. So like shakes, hits, zooms, flickers, and obviously all of the collage assets that I use in all my music videos, all my cinematic LUTs for Premiere Pro and other editing programs. I have all these texture overlays, of course, all my cinematic transition overlays, and of course all of these assets are transparent assets, so all you got to do is just drag it straight into your editing program, and they're transparent assets just like that, so you can create some like really crazy collages and whatnot. And these are all like animated as well, so they have animations baked in. But yeah bro, that'll be linked down in the description. Use code SAVE for 15% off. Let's get right back into this one, man. So this next effect I want to go over is this cool inverted American flag background effect, and this is kind of cool. It's like the UK over here to represent her, and then the United States to represent her over here. I thought that was really unique, creative, you know what I'm saying? Collab, shout out to the UK. I know y'all have it rough over there. Hope y'all are doing good, bro. With like the government and everything, shit, fuck it. So you can use inverted matte layers for this. You can also use displacement maps, so for example, right here, I have this guy rotoscoped out right here. I'm just going to duplicate this and then create a background layer. So I just dragged in this random American flag overlay. I'm just going to resize it, make it look good. And then you got to make sure that you pre-comp the layer. So do Control-Shift-C and then just click these two and click OK. And then on this very background layer, we can add on a displacement map effect. And then for the American flag layer, just click on that layer, click enter, and then just name it to 1. When you click enter, you can rename the layer over here, Then on this background layer for the displacement map layer, let's just set that to 1, that layer that we just renamed, and then make the American flag layer invisible. As you can see, once we start to increase it, we're going to start to get this effect right here. And then we can also just click wrap pixels around if you want to get rid of the black over there. So that is the first method. And then the next thing we can do is click on your toggle switches and modes. So it brings up the matte section right here, or that background layer. Let's go ahead and rename that one too. Or I can just go in here to the American flag. I can change it to these different like stencil blending modes right here. So stencil luma, silhouette, or this one usually looks pretty good, silhouette luma. You could set the American flag layer to the background layer, or you could set the background layer to the American flag layer and then just play around with those to get them inverted. And then you could also like play around with the different like stencil overlays, and then you could also play around more with like this stuff over here. And obviously for the sake of the tutorial, it doesn't look great right here, but like you kind of get the idea. So next I want to go over these smooth wipe transitions right here. So say I want to transition from this clip right here into this clip. I'm just going to go in here to my shakes, and I'm going to use this slanted wipe right here. And just like that, we have that really smooth wipe just like that. A different one I like to always use is the light wipe effect right here. So if I just click on this, we can get this really cool like light sweep wipe effect right there. Shout out to the Minimax effect. Now let's go over these camcorder / VHS effects right here. Really simple. What I do, I like to use emulation effects right here. So we can either do VHS emulation using these presets and we have like a fine-tuned slider, or we can do CRT emulation. So for example, like if I want to turn this into CRT, you can just go in here, click on a preset, and it automatically loads on this crazy CRT emulation effect, and it's super accurate. Then you have this slider right here which actually controls the intensity. So if I want it to be like a light emulation, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like before versus after. Or if I want it to be really intense, I could turn it to 100, and it's going to impact like the scan lines, the warps, the distortion, the saturation, the exposure. So it makes it look like an actual CRT preset. And all of these presets are fine tunable. So like if I use this preset right here, again, we can do something light or something like more medium or something much more intense like this. And then there's other presets where it actually makes it like damaged. So if I turn it up all the way, but you can see it starts to create like this cool analog damage in there, and then you can start to kind of like fine tune that damage in there, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like something around here I think would look decent. And again, this is like before versus after. These camcorder presets are crazy. I just click on it and then automatically I get this cool like camcorder effect. And again, you can fine tune like the damage, the nostalgic feel to it. I really like this one because it creates this really like nostalgic 2003 type of a feel to it. Then I like to go in here, I like to just add in like these different overlays in here, you know, like this one's kind of tough. Or I could go in here, I could use like these different overlays. I kind of like these two. Or of course I can go with the classic, you know, night vision, thermal, VHS, but I'm gonna rock with this one right here. And this one is crazy, bro. Like this is one of my favorites right here. So this is what it looks like before versus after. And then again, you can, you know, play with the customizability of it if you want it to be like really intense or, you know, not so intense. Like, bro, this is nasty. The like nostalgic feel and the warp and the scan lines for this one, like again, it's just all tied to this one wheel. So it's really dope. All the tools that I use, like all the plugins and stuff, by the way, are buy one get one free, linked in the description. So next, I want to go over this kaleidoscope effect right here. So there's a couple of different ways to create this effect. So you could either add on the CC Kaleida effect, and then you could mess with the center to get effects like this. And then you could change the size. So if you want like more detail with like the face or whatever, you could do something like that. Then you can also, of course, impact like the rotation like this. You could set keyframes if you want to like create animations. And then you can also mess with like all these different presets if you want something unique like that. I like the Starlish one. I feel like this one's kind of tough. This one's kind of crazy. And yeah, you can keyframe the center as well to create weird looks like this. You guys could use, if you have Sapphire plugins, you could use those Kaleidoscope effects. Those are pretty effective, and you can create some really dope effects. And then, you know, just rotoscope it out, and then you can, you know, create different masks and whatever. If you want to make like this red solid layer, all you got to do is right click, go to new and create solid. And then if you just set it to, you know what I'm saying, whatever color you want, you can just create a solid like that. Now, the last two effects that I want to go over are these unique transitions. So this is basically just utilizing everything that we've gone over already in this video, but just layering them on top of each other to create something unique. So using different zooms and wipes and invert matte effects and different rotoscopes, just kind of coming in and out, like just making something unique. You know, don't copy what's in this video, just like make something unique yourself that is like a unique combination, you know, stacking effects, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, and this next one right here are like these slow shutter effects. So this is again really easy. All I'm gonna do is create an adjustment layer with Control-Alt-Y. Let's add on the echo effect, and you can play with these different operators right here. So you could change it to maximum or minimum. You could change it to a blending mode. And then if you just increase the number of echoes, you can go anywhere from like 5 to 20. I'll do something like 7. And then, you know, again, as you can see, if we just start playing with these, you'll get different looks. I like maximum. And then you can also play with the decay rate. You can play with the intensity. You can bring it down. And then you can also play with the time, so you can get like some different looks in there with that. I like to add on the posterize effect, or the posterized time effect, and then just set the frame rate to like 7. And then also I'm going to add on lumetri color. I like to just boost up the exposure a little bit. Let's bring up the whites as well. Then maybe just add on like some grain and like a nice color grade, and then you'll get like this slow shutter effect. And obviously for the sake of the tutorial, you know, doesn't look great right here, but just play around with these more, like literally just have fun with it, bro. And you know, you can get some really unique stuff. Like that's already looking a little bit better. You could add on the dust and scratches effect as well, and then if you just sort of like increase the radius a little bit, you can start to like blur it out like that, and you can layer that on. Like if I set that to something like 8, or you could just go with mini backs or like camera lens blur, which is a classic one that could just make it a little bit better. And then I also do have similar presets in here. Like if you don't want to spend all this time like making this stuff, you can just literally go in here and use, there's like 60 After Effects essential presets in here along with the other 600 assets, and these all work in all editing programs except for the After Effects presets. So yeah, bro, daily uploads right now, going absolutely crazy. Again, on my other channel, I'm teaching you guys the music production. On this channel, doing the music video production. So make sure to drop a like so more people are shown this stuff. And then anything you guys do to support the channel just means that I can continue to do daily uploads like this. As you guys know, I'm only doing full music video breakdowns from here on out. So I'm not just doing like one effect for each video. I'm doing like at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 effects in every video, breaking down literally every music video that's out there. And I've already done this like over a dozen times, and I'm just trying to like, you know, replicate it as much as possible. You know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, man, have a great rest of your day, bro. Peace out.